Part 22. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 211. The four of Guyao completely lost their traces in the 100,000-strong mountain. No matter how many people the Mu family sent to the mountain to search, there would be no clue. Therefore, the Mu family offered a reward to the monks inside and outside the city, and more monks entered the mountain. Still haven't found it? Those guys won't be eaten by the monsters in the mountains to the bone, or else so many people can't find them when they go in and look for them. Someone sneered, apparently disapproving of this statement. The man jumped up to protest, and the sneering monk said, just because Huagu's group of monks were completely killed and no one escaped, it still doesn't show their strength. So now that these foundation building cultivators go to the mountains to find them, they can't find them at all, and even if they find them, they are dead words. Then how to find it? Are they really alive? At least we have to send someone with Jindan strength in. The sneering cultivator didn't care whether these people believed it or not, and walked out of the restaurant with his fan alone. He was also curious about this before, so he wandered among the crowd. After watching the scene, people don't have the strength to dare to go deep into the mountains. They had to go into the mountains before they offended the Mu family, and they were clearly looking for a place to retreat and practice. This cultivator is very curious. How will the Mu family solve this matter now that it is difficult to ride a tiger? He just had a good time. Mu Quan wanted to call a Jindan cultivator in, but even if he had a talented elder brother and a patriarchal father, Jindan cultivator didn't just follow his errands. After half a year, the people in Jianjiun city were almost leaving the four monks named Changye behind. At this time, news came from Taluiman that Muan of the Mu family had successfully formed a pill and was promoted to a golden pill monk. When the cultivation base is stabilized, he will return to the Mu family, and the Mu family rejoices. Other forces in Jianjiun city had mixed reactions to the news, but there was no doubt that the Mu family and Muan had become the hottest topic. With the heated discussion about Muan, some people brought up what happened half a year ago. When Muan is back, he will definitely avenge his younger brother. A few foreign cultivators dare to attack the Mu family. How can there be good fruits to eat? Maybe these few people have already become the food of the beasts in the mountains. Where is it worth Master Muan's action? Most of the voices who were talking about the Mu family's actions being too domineering disappeared, but some people didn't make any comments and just had a good time. Yan family. Yan family head looked at Yan Sun and said, I didn't expect Muan to be so good. How old he was to form pills. Do our Yan family really want to marry Yuchen girl? In the past half year, Yan Yuchen has been unable to retreat. Mu Quan's child took several concubines, but he still said that he would not let Yan Yuchen go. Yan Sun frowned. It's been half a year, and there is no news about the four of Chang yet. If he hadn't seen their fighting power with his own eyes, he would have suspected that they were killed by monsters. The Mu family has made it clear that they want to humiliate our Yan family. After the rainy morning, the Mu family will give up. Our Yan family's step-by-step retreat will only make us vassals of the Mu family. Besides, Muan may not be the youngest Jindan cultivator. Yan Sun chuckled disapprovingly. After seeing Changye, he was not so shocked by Muan. Although this incident was quite unexpected to him, the Mu family had not revealed any rumors before. He believed that Changye's bone age was younger than Muan's. Obviously, Changye had formed elixir earlier than Muan. The three young monks around him might have formed elixir at some point. What does Muan compare to others? The Yan family thought about this situation, and could only sigh. If Muan continues to develop like this, the day when he becomes a vassal of the Mu family is not far away, so it is still necessary to strengthen the cultivation of young children. The juniors of the Yan family were also talking about this matter, and Yan Yuyan was surrounded by several peers, each of whom was chattering. Sister Yuchen, what are you going to do now? Mu Quan will definitely not let Sister Yuchen go. This guy is too bad. If you change Muon, you will definitely be impatient to get married, so young Jindan cultivator has a great chance of becoming a nascent soul in the future. Some people imagined that it was just a genius like Muon. It's not what they can imagine. Sister Yuyan, are you afraid that the cultivator named Changye is afraid? She hasn't come out yet. Does Sister Yuchen want to go into seclusion forever? Yan Yuyan was also dissatisfied with the cultivator named Changye. Sister Yuchen was in such a difficult situation. Changye was still not a man, so how could she be so indifferent? Thanks to her applauding when she killed Huagu's gang at Changye, she didn't expect to be a coward. Who knows that guy? He doesn't have the guts at all, he doesn't even have the courage to protect women. How can he be worthy of Sister Yuchen? The four of Guyao didn't know what was going on in Jianjiun city. They were surrounded by monsters. They either retreated to practice or fought with monsters. They lived happily ever after, but the monsters around them couldn't help but want to move. Where did the scourge come from? Why don't you hurry up? The top of the mountain they were staying at was originally occupied by a tiger with the strength of golden core. The tiger had scales on its limbs and did not know what kind of blood was mixed. Before Guyao and the others came, Brother Tiger was the overlord in this area, so he occupied the mountain top aura. It was also the most intense, and it caught Chi Changai's eyes. Without using a sword, he punched and kicked the tiger brother for 2 days and 2 nights. Finally, the tiger brother retreated and reluctantly gave up the mountain. How could brother Hu be willing to fail and give away his cave house? So after the injury healed, he continued to look for trouble for Chi Changjai. As for the other 3 human monks, he didn't look down on them, they were too weak, and he could just breathe. Blowing away, bullying them loses their might. However, he didn't know whether he was the cheapest or a sparring partner who took the initiative to send him to his door. Although Brother Tiger's strength has steadily increased due to repeated setbacks, his opponent has become more and more perverted. Now sending him to the door won't make much difference. Chi Changjai kicked him out impatiently. In the end, the tiger had no choice but to he chased away the other monster with the same golden core strength, and completely moved his nest to settle down. Occasionally, on the night of the full moon, he would lie on the top of the mountain and look at the moon in the sky, and then roared at the original mountain unwillingly. Voice. A bird with beautiful wings flew through the air. Brother Tiger below roared a few times and startled the bird. He was so annoyed that it threw up a few fireballs. Brother Tiger hurriedly put out the fire. Oh, really, if you roared a few times, that rotten bird actually wanted to burn him to death. He knew that to please a weak human cultivator, wouldn't he just roll a few pills? Human cultivators are the most cunning. Guyao, who lived in the middle of the mountain, heard the melodious chirping outside, and immediately knew who was coming. He walked out of the temporary cave and saw the beautiful bird hovering in the air and landed in front of him. She has transformed into a human form and is a very beautiful woman, but there is a bit of sharpness between her eyebrows and eyes, which makes people know that it is not easy to mess with. Gu Alchemist, the woman was very polite when she saw Guyao, even more polite than Chi Changjai. This is our group's recent harvest. Gu Alchemist, see how many medicinal herbs can be exchanged. Although I don't know why Guyao came to their demon cultivator's territory, it did not hinder the joy of this demon cultivator named Bai Kaiyan, because Guyao was a very good alchemist, as long as he helped him. When he collects the spirit grass in this mountain range, he can exchange it for medicinal pills that are very suitable for monsters. Many of them are top quality pills. In the towns where human monks live, they can get 10 times the price. No, so why not do it? Baekilyan handed over a storage bag, Guyao took it and checked it, and then threw a few jade bottles in the past. Baekilyan took it with great joy. Seeing the cold-faced Chi Changjai walking out from behind, he couldn't help joking, Gu Alchemist might as well stay with us for a long time, we can find a way to help you get whatever spirit grass you want. If a monk like Gu Alchemist goes among the human monks, I'm afraid they will be jealous of them. Well, Isn't that how you came here before? Birds have received much more information than the beasts on the ground. At first, when Guyao and the others entered the mountain, they killed a group of monks. These birds were all aware of it, and many human monks went into the mountain to inquire about the whereabouts of Guyao and several others. Baikaiyan's ethnic group also knows it, but they don't think it's different, because the guys who came in are not the opponents of these people at all, so they don't even have the idea to mention it. This is no need for Daoist Bai to worry about it. We have our own place to go, but Daoist Bai is like this. When you go to a human settlement, it is easy to be plucked from bird feathers and made into clothes. Chi Chang-ji stabbed back unceremoniously. Bai Kaiyan was not annoyed, but laughed loudly. After laughing, she stopped provoking Chi Chang-ji. She also knew that Guyao and the others would not be able to stay for too long, so she waved her hand and said, I can see that alchemist Gu is full of energy and blood, the spiritual energy is surging, let's hurry up and retreat. I believe that soon, we will add another one to this mountain range. No, it may be 3 Jindan cultivators, the other 2 human cultivators are not bad. Thank you Senior Bai Jiyan, I really need to retreat, so I can't exchange medicine pills with the Taoists in the mountains and forests during this time. Guyao said with a gentle face, but Bai Kaiyan's expression froze, watching Guyao and Chi Chang-ji turn back to the cave after finishing speaking. Bai Kaiyan regretted stepping on the spot. Oh, just to stimulate Chi Chang-ji, this who is looking for their golden pill demon cultivator actually annoyed the ancient alchemist. Gu alchemist, don't go so fast. We still want to change some medicinal herbs. Guyao really said that he was in retreat. In fact, he was already behind. Tian Firong and Little Fatty had been in retreat for a while, ready to attack the golden pill, but Guyao spent more time on body training than the 2 of them in the past 6 months. It was the 2 jade slips from Tianlin continent, and for this reason, without deliberate preparation, he also reached the edge of forming a pill and urgently needed to retreat. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 212. Guyao retreated, and Chi Chang-ji fell silent. There was no longer sword energy on this mountain, but the monsters below Jindan still did not dare to approach this mountain. Guyao had refined Tian Yuan Dan before Tian Firong and Fatty went to retreat. It was a top quality pill, and the other auxiliary pills were equally good, so the 3 of them had a lot of confidence in this retreat, especially since Guyao still had the pill in his hand. There is a blood-glazed fruit, which Chi Chang-ji didn't take at first, so it returned to Guyao's hands. So everything is ready, only the last step is due. The inner door of Talaman. It wasn't long before the scene of Muan crossing the Golden Core tribulation, and it was still a hot topic among the inner disciples. Senior brother Mu, no, Uncle Mu is really lucky. I didn't show up for so long before. I thought he had something wrong. I didn't expect that the disciple who became an elder would successfully form a pill. Yeah, you didn't see that during this period of time, not only the inner sect, but even some female disciples from the outer sect tried every means to go to the top of the mountain where Mu Shishu is located, hoping to get Mu Shishu's blue eyes. Let's all talk a little bit less, but just finished the elixir, Uncle Jindan, we have too few Taluiman? Not to mention that there are endless talented disciples of the Taluiman, it is just the young people in the Changxianmen who formed the pill at a young age and became famous. There are also a lot of talented people, and on this continent, we still see the strength of Yuan Ying's great power. These words made many people shut up. It is true that Taluiman is younger and earlier than Muan, who is a genius. Blindly advocating Muan will only offend other people. However, Tai Luiman has never lacked monks with background and strength than him. It's just that compared to the other inner sect foundation building disciples who are still struggling to form pills, Muan who walks ahead is still worthy of their envy. After all, although there are several elders of Yuan Ying, not everyone can worship Yuan Ying. Elder Ying is the teacher, and those few places can be fought for at any time. On the top of a beautiful mountain, a handsome and arrogant young monk came out. As soon as he left the customs, he received a message from Zhang Yunchinj. He was not so happy. Is the monk bullied? If such a thing spreads to the sect, he must not let the inner sect disciples and other senior brothers make jokes. Jindan cultivator can have a separate mountain, on which he can place his disciples who follow him. When he sees him coming out, disciples immediately come to salute. Muin said in a deep voice, "Pack up, and prepare to go back to Jianjiun city. I'll go to the master first to say hello." Yes, Uncle Shi going out is essential, and it represents the image of Tailuiman. Muin lifted his foot and stepped into the void. After forming the pill, he could fly without relying on the magic weapon. Such an unrestrained attitude made the disciples on the top of the mountain look envious. When will they be able to meet Mu? The same uncle became a cultivator of the alchemy. Arriving on the top of a main peak of Tailuiman, the spiritual energy here is more intense with the fragrance of birds and flowers, and the scenery is pleasant. On the way, I meet other disciples from time to time, and they call them respectfully. Before being accepted as a direct disciple, Muin was also with the big disciples here. Just like some people, it was only Master's named disciple, who made his efforts step by step to show up in Master's eyes, and then accepted him as a direct disciple. Until now, he has successfully formed the elixir without embarrassing his master. "Junior brother, you're here. Master knows you're coming and is waiting for you." A man and a woman approached, also Jindan cultivators, from the same family as Muin. Muin called the brothers and sisters one by one, then went to see the master, and explained to the master what he meant by going home. The master would naturally not stop him. There are also many descendants of bloodline among Tailuman. After asking the master for some questions about his practice, Muin quit. Several brothers and sisters were waiting for him outside. Naturally, Muin had to stop for a while and talk to each other about the new things happening outside. As a Jindan cultivator, most of the new things they talk about are no longer confined to the sect, but look at the situation of other sects with similar strengths to the mainland. By the way, I don't know if you heard that there are several unidentified cultivators suddenly wanted in the Changxianmen realm, but this is not the most important thing. You know the deist Yan Yuan Jinjian of Changxianmen. I don't know why I'm crazy this time, provocative. One of the elders of Yuanying who came to the door was sentenced to go to the forbidden area for 10 years. Haha, for a lunatic like Yan Yuanjing, he would rather fight with others for 10 years than stay in the forbidden area. No one can challenge him. Are you crazy? Muin heard it quite strange. Although Yan Yuanjing was crazy, he was also a character that many cultivators yearned for, because he could challenge more and more, and how many famous Jindan cultivators became his defeated generals. When he came out, he didn't expect that this time he would commit a crime on the head of nascent soul elder. This courage makes people have to say admiration. He asked curiously, "Elder Yuanying of Changxianmen only punished him for 10 years? Didn't he hurt him? This punishment seems too light." Just like in Tailuiman, which Jindan cultivator dares to lose his head and provoke the authority of Elder Yuanying? Not to mention this, even if Elder Yuanying releases a single pressure, it can overwhelm the Jindan cultivator, so provocation is no different from seeking death. A senior brother replied, "No, after all, Yan Yuanjing is going crazy, but his strength should not be underestimated. The old guys from Changxianmen are very optimistic about him Ningying, and when he becomes a great master of Yuanying, his combat power will be tisk-tisk. I am the head of Changxian sect, and I am reluctant to punish him, sentence him to imprisonment for 10 years, and it is not to polish his temperament." That's right, many people echoed this statement. Junior brother is leaving now? Is there something wrong with the family in such a hurry to leave? A senior sister asked with concern. Muin did not hide it, and said, "There is news from the family. A few foreign monks have come from Zhongyunchinj, and they have insulted the Mu family. I have to go back. Just take a look to be assured. What? Dare to bully our Teluiman disciples? That's enough. For these inner disciples, bullying the disciples' families is not because they don't take Teluiman seriously. They are in Teluiman. Among Luiman, the family behind him is naturally under the protection of Teluiman. Junior brother, do you want to bring a few more disciples back together, this kind of with little eyes, just destroy it? Muin smiled and said, where do you need to be so excited? I can solve it by going back, but a few clowns jumping on the beam, such a big move, but lost the face of our Teluiman. Haha, junior brother is right, there are a few clowns jumping on the beam, where is it worth our Teluiman to make things happen? Junior brother goes early and returns early. Then junior brother, I'll take my leave first. Muin waved his sleeves and flew away, returned to the top of his own mountain, checked it, and took the people on a luxurious flying car to leave Teluiman. The movement of Muin and his party was not small. Zhang Yunchinj soon received the news that Muin was coming back. The Mu family's head, the Mu family, is the happiest. With such an outstanding son, no one can shake his position as the head of the family, and the Mu family's position in Jianjiun city and the surrounding area will also get higher and higher. Mu Quan was even more looking forward to it. Big brother came back to support him. Who would dare to say no to him in this world? When Big Brother comes back, the first thing to solve is those four that made him lose face. The mood of the other forces in Zhang Yunchinj was more subtle. Although some of the main forces took the initiative to show their favor to the Mu family, they were not happy to see the Mu family continue to expand, but who made the Mu family's luck so good that they gave birth to such a person as Muin. Genius monk. The Mu family prepared a grand welcome ceremony, waiting for Muin and his party to return. After calculating the time, the entrance to the city was guarded early, along with other monks who joined in the fun. When two birds appeared on the horizon, dragging a luxurious car, the Mu family immediately shouted excitedly. Master Muin is back. That's Master N's car. The bird and the car dragged an aura across the sky, and in a blink of an eye, they were close. You could see that the area of the flying car was very large, and the people inside the car could not see clearly, but you could see the monks standing outside in 2 rows, all with expressionless faces. Looking at the city in front of them, they are also disciples of Teluiman, which represents the pride of Teluiman, and most of the monks in the city are not in their eyes. Just when the car reached the sky above the city, there was a sudden rumbling of thunder from the depths of the distant mountains. Muin, who was reluctant to show up in front of the monks in the city, suddenly stepped out of the carriage and looked at the vision in the distance. Master, there is. Muin's face sank. That's someone who is forming a pill to overcome the calamity. What? Golden core heavenly tribulation? Is that a human cultivator or a demon cultivator? The people accompanying him said in shock. No accident, it should be repaired by someone. Let's go back to Mu Mansion. Muin took a deep look at that direction, turned around and entered the carriage again, and the speeding car quickly drove in the direction of Mu Mansion. The cultivators in Jianjiun city naturally saw the vision of the heavenly robbery on the horizon. Many people flew from the city and flew in that direction, but they did not dare to get too close. The people who originally came to Muin were turned away by this heaven and earth. The elephant attracted most of them. Compared with this vision of heaven and earth, Muin's return didn't seem to be such a big deal. Who is that? I heard that it is Renqiu. Renqiu dares to form an elixir on the demon cultivator's territory to survive the golden elixir calamity. Isn't he afraid that he won't be able to get out of the demon cultivator's territory if he ends up with an elixir? There were also people who said, you forgot that someone entered the depths of the mountain before, could it be those guys? No way, how old are they? I heard people say that their bone age is very young. If they are so young to form pills, wouldn't it be better than Master Muin? The following words were immediately swallowed in my stomach, and I looked carefully. Surrounded by, for fear of being told the whistleblower. However, many people showed the same strange look on their faces. If it was really the movement made by those people, wouldn't Muon be compared? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 213. The Mew family was very angry. Who was deliberately making it difficult for the Mew family to get through the calamity at such a time? When Muon arrived at the Mew family, he was naturally warmly welcomed. Although he was affected by the vision of the catastrophe, Mew family master and Mew Quan were still very happy. Who else in Jeonjaeun City dared to compete with the Mew family? Brother, you are finally back. Great. Anur, just come back, just come back. Originally, the mood of returning home with Jin Yujin has been reduced a lot. Muon is more concerned about the person who has formed the pill to save the calamity. As he walked into the mansion, he asked, "Do you know who the person who formed the pill over there is?" Suddenly someone ran here. "I don't know at all. When I came here to form pills," Mew Quan said nonchalantly, "what are you afraid of? There's no big brother here, so even if the guys outside have formed pills, so what if he still has a nascent soul supreme being, master?" Mew family master Fu Su said, "Anur, what are you worried about? Only those 4 cultivators have come to Jeonjaeun City recently. They did go to the deep mountains. According to their cultivation, they may indeed have reached this step, although he didn't want to admit it. But Huagu all died in their hands, so the cultivation base is at least a great achievement. After they escaped from Jeonjaeun City, I have inquired about their origins for their father, only to know that they met the Yan family's ship at sea. The family came to Jeonjaeun City, perhaps from the other end of that sea area. No matter how powerful they are, how can they compare to Anur? Not everyone can be taught by the great master of nascent soul." Muon also felt the same way. As a direct disciple of Yuan Ying's great power, how could he lose his identity and his due pride? Father is right, after a few days, I will go to meet them. All right, haha, let them see the power of Taluim. And Mew patriarch laughed. The Mew family still followed the original preparations, and invited the guests from all over the world to celebrate Muon's Dandan. All the forces in the city came to the door, and the Yan family was no exception. This face still had to be given to the Mew family and Muon. On the other side of the guests from all parties, thunder and rumblings were crossing the golden core heavenly tribulation. How could Muon not see the absent-mindedness of some people, and became more and more annoyed at the monk who was transcending the calamity at the moment. Naturally, the debt must be recovered from the monk who transcended the calamity. When he was beaten down, the tone in his heart naturally, "It went well," Muon thought casually while listening to the compliments from others. The thunder tribulation was finally over, and the Mew family's banquet was over. Muon decided to go out to meet the new Jindan fellow in the mountain for a while. "Brother, big brother, you are going to teach that in the mountains, take me with you." Mew Quan ran into Muon's yard from the outside and shouted loudly. Muon reluctantly said, "If you want to go, go, but you can't run around, there are many Jindan monsters in there, I may not be able to take you into account." "Got it," eldest brother Mew Quan was very happy. What were those golden elixir cultivators? Knowing that eldest brother had passed by, they didn't give way quickly. The Mew family even thought about it and asked eldest brother to help him subdue one when he entered the mountain. Jindan monsters are spiritual pets. In that case, the previous situation will be encountered, and the old Jindan guy in the family will not listen to him. He has his own spiritual pets to send out. Muon brought the Taluiman disciple who came with him and was about to go out, but at this moment, the thunder sounded from the sky again, and he was shocked. Mew Quan was also stunned. "Brother, who is going to make a move?" It's impossible. It must be fake. The monks in Jianjian city once again turned their attention to the depths of the mountains 100,000 miles outside the city. Some people formed pills, and some people were crossing the calamity. The second catastrophe vision still occurred in the same direction, and Muan had to delay the trip and rush into the scope of the catastrophe, and he would also be involved. In a place like Zhongyunchinj, Jindan is the highest cultivation level, and the vision of forming a pill may not be seen a few times within 100 years, but this time, it was two people who formed pills together, so how could the monks in Jianjianchinj not be shocked? Far surpassing Muan's return, many monks walked out of the cultivation residence, left Jianjian city, and flew into the air to watch the thunder robbery in the distance. Who is forming the pill this time? It was said to be one of those four people. What about this time? Someone swallowed and said, it's still in the same position, maybe the monks in that group are forming pills. How is that possible? Could it be that they all had a foundation building cultivation base before? It's possible, otherwise the dozen or so cultivators died, and none of them escaped. There are also many people in the Yan family gathered in the air outside the city. There are many Yan family children around Yansuan. Some people asked, third elders, some people say that it is Changye Daio and the others who are forming pills. Is it true? The four of them are like that. Sharp. Yansun originally thought that the strength of these four people was overestimated enough, but the successive visions of the formation of pills let him know, but he still underestimated, there are people outside, monks practicing, don't be arrogant and arrogant, before they all hid the cultivators. 4. Yan Yuyan's eyes widened, which surprised her too much. After 2 consecutive times, she believed that Changye would definitely have won. This meant that Changye had become a senior Jindan like Muan. Sister Jean don't have to worry, at the same time, she has a little jealousy. For a cultivator like them, it is a great blessing to marry senior Jindan, and most of them are sent to senior Jindan to serve as a concubine. She hadn't thought about it, if they fell in love with others, must others like them? Perhaps it was Qi Changjai's identities as foundation building and loose cultivators that gave them confidence. If Qi Changjai revealed the identity of Jindan cultivators at the beginning, they might be heartbroken because of their beautiful appearance and strong strength. Born in love, but will it be taken for granted whether the other party will accept or not accept this love? The initial confidence blinded their eyes and became self-righteous. 3 days and 3 nights, the thunder robbery finally ended. The monks gathered outside the city let out a long sigh. Although they were far enough away, the vision they saw still made them know that this time they successfully survived the catastrophe, and the monk went well. I got promoted. Yansun and the other elders of the Yan family looked at each other and smiled bitterly. In the Yan family, those who can sit in the elder position are basically those who have established a foundation. Dan, it's definitely not that easy. Otherwise, they can retreat for a while. Now, seeing the younger generation who are much younger than them form pills one by one, my heart is very sour. This world of practice, after all, is the world of young people. But it's strange to say that these people form pills one after another, which shows that there are a lot of pills prepared on their bodies. This is not a disciple from a major force, or a disciple from a major family, an ordinary cultivator. It's not that easy to get a Tianyuan pill. Just like the Yan family, although there are Tianyuan pills, the number is limited. Even the elders of them do not want to get them. Those Tianyuan pills are prepared for monks in the family who are more talented and more likely to form pills. If you had known earlier that these guys had so many dank objects on their bodies, they might have taken the opportunity to rob them while they were at sea. Of course, this idea came from other people, not Yansun. Yansun guessed that Qi Changjai was a Jindan cultivator. They were the most powerful at that time, but they were the most powerful. That's courting death. Of course, the strangest thing is that the golden elixir demon cultivators in the mountains just let these people stay inside. And they can bear the bombardment during this period of time. Yeah, how did they coexist peacefully? You must know that none of those golden elixir demons are easy to mess with. Everyone was curious and made a lot of guesses. After the day passed, the upsurge of the vision of the formation of elixir had not subsided, and it was still in the same direction, and the rumbling sounded again. Zhang Yunchen's cultivator, what the hell? Is it over yet? Would you let anyone else go through? The blow was too great. This time, everyone looked at the sky where the pill formation vision appeared for the third time, and their eyes were a little sluggish. And Muan's itinerary was delayed again, and again, and the energy in Min Muan's heart was not as strong as when he had just returned. He was very angry but helpless, and he knew vaguely in his heart that he wanted to go from it's impossible for those people to find a way for the Mu family. No matter how talented he was, he couldn't be like the madman Yan Yuanjing, who could fight 3 at a time. The Yan family couldn't sit still anymore, and asked Yan Suan, who is the one who made the pill this time? And looking at the momentum this time, it's bigger than the previous 2 games. The cultivator who made the pill this time has more potential. The first 2 are big. Yan Sun smiled bitterly, and there was no way to make any other expressions except a bitter smile. The 4 of them are likely to be 4 Jindan cultivators soon. I think they are monks from a big family or a section, maybe they came out to find them. It's by chance. The Yan family's hand trembled. The 4 cultivators, all of them Jindan, made him feel shocked and envious. How could such a genius not be born in the Yan family? Seeing that there was only one Mu family, the whole city would be celebrating. There are 4, and the Mu family is not allowed to show off the entire continent. Deep in the mountains, Brother Tiger is irritably digging the ground with his claws. Is it finished? One after another, he had already moved to another nest, but just as he was about to sleep for a while, Lei Ji woke him up again, stuck his head out and looked at him, scared to death, which was used by God such a powerful thunder robbery. Baekyeoyan fell lightly beside the tiger, and Brother Tiger was still lying there lazily. His tail slapped the ground from time to time to vent his irritability. He said with a buzzing voice, "Who is this time?" Although Baekyeoyan smiled, there was also a look of shock in his eyes. This time it should be the ancient alchemist. It seems that the ancient alchemist is very talented. As for the human race, there are always a few outstanding people, that is, our demon. Xiao Hong's bloodline is not necessarily comparable, and among these people, there are 2 people who are jealous of the demon. Needless to say, Qi Changjai, it is estimated that the demon cultivators in the later stage of Jindan may not be able to beat him down. Baekyeoyan watched helplessly as he beat Brother Hu, and then advanced to the middle stage of Jindan. Compared with his fist skills, Baekyeoyan thought that the sharp swordsmanship made them more afraid. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 214. The golden elixir demon cultivators in this mountain range have all rushed over, and the 4 of Guyao are retreating and practicing here. They all know it, and most of them have traded elixir from Guyao. Looking at the figure in the center of Thunder Tribulation and the figure standing outside the range of Thunder Tribulation, these demon cultivators have to put away no matter how much thoughts they have. Before, Qi Changjai asked them to practice their skills, and they knew it after seeing him practice swords. Qi Changjai did not come up with real strength to compete with them. Baekyeoyan looked at them playfully. What are you worried about? Do you think these 4 people will continue to stay in our mountain after cultivating? We won't do it in the future. On the contrary, after they leave, where are we going to find an alchemist with such a good alchemy technique without exorbitant price? The other demon cultivators froze, didn't they? Then what? Hold it, or else can I force others to stay? Why don't you try it? Baekyeoyan said bravely. Everyone tacitly looked away. Being a demon is so stupid. The weaker monsters either hid in the cave and shivered, or moved their homes and stayed far away. For the first time, Guyao faced such a vast power of heaven and earth, as if he wanted to destroy all existence under the thunder tribulation. He knew that once he became timid, the thunder tribulation would probably fail and he would become a god. Flying ashes under robbery. Pain. It hurts. In the past 6 months, although he used the body refining exercises he obtained for cultivation, the time was a little short, so he facilitated the energy from the thunder tribulation to cultivate the body. The risk is not ordinary. He is using the method of body training to absorb energy to temper every part of the body. There is no medicine bath for neutralization, the pain of tearing. Guyao feels that even his soul is shaking. Tian Firong and Little Fatty passed through the calamity one after another and successfully formed the elixir, but looking at Guyao's calamity again, the two of them trembled. If their calamity was like this, it would have been wiped out under the calamity. The little fat man swallowed dryly and said, "How could Guyao's heavenly tribulation be so powerful?" Chi Changjai clenched his hands into fists and unfolded them again and again, and his heart was not calm. Although Xiaoyao's spiritual aptitude is not good, he is outstanding in other aspects, and he is naturally stronger than ordinary monks in the face of catastrophe. The bloodline of the heavenly spirit clan, the talent and comprehension in alchemy, and another, that is the luck that cannot be seen by the naked eye. Fortunately, when he left Tianlin continent, he got the body training method. Guyao spent another half a year refining his body, otherwise he would be seriously injured by the catastrophe even if he barely passed. Tian Firong and Little Fatty nodded in agreement. Just like the two of them, Tian Firong's calamity was stronger than Little Fatty's because of his physique, but it was still a bit far from Guyao's. Guyao's, hurry up, Chi Changjai has changed and changed like he was at the beginning, but Chi Changjai himself has also changed and changed. Who has directly smashed the thunder with a sword like he did? The thunder roared for 3 days and 3 nights and finally dissipated, and the rain fell between the heavens and the earth, quickly repairing the wounds on Guyao's body. Guyao endured the pain and absorbed the pure energy between the heavens and the earth as much as possible. Brother Who raised his huge tiger head with lingering fears. Is it finally over? Success again? God still prefers cunning human monks. I really wanted to say that heaven is unfair, but looking at God, Brother Who still swallowed the sentence. Bai Kaiyan kicked him angrily. It's also because of his own ability to break through. I don't believe you didn't find that Master Gu has been refining since he came here. I've seen so many human monks, but I have never seen any alchemist who would work body refining, and the ancient alchemist is also a strange person. Isn't it normal to be favored by God? Do you want to favor you, a lazy tiger? The other demon cultivators laughed when they heard it. Brother Tiger's blood was actually not bad, but he was too lazy in cultivation. He often used him to practice his hand after coming over Chi Changjai. As a result, his progress in the past 6 months was even higher than that in the previous 10 or 8 years. It's big. What does it mean to be cheap and sell well, just like him? Let's go to congratulate the ancient alchemist on his successful formation of alchemy, Yi Yao suggested, and everyone agreed, including the big tiger who had to climb up with difficulty. Although the rain after this calamity is also very beneficial to them, but after 3 consecutive times, it is not so rare. But it turned out that the mountain tops had been cut down one layer after another, and countless destroyed flowers and plants, from the ground. It grew out of it, and soon the hill was full of greenery. The original robe was smashed to pieces, and Guyao put on a new robe, but that face also showed the same, including Tian Firong and Little Fatty. Bai Kaiyan looked at it with admiration. It's still a good-looking face, so good-looking. Why are you covering up your face? Well, I won't say it. We came here to congratulate the ancient alchemist on successfully transcending the calamity. The other demon cultivators also congratulated him, including the big tiger. Guyao clasped his fists and returned the salute one by one. Everyone knew that he had to retreat to stabilize his cultivation, so he didn't stop there and left immediately. So the three of them retreated together again, but this time was very short. After half a month, the four of them left the mountain and appeared outside Jianjiun city. It seemed that they could hear the roaring of tigers in the mountain and the big tiger cheering. A few disturbing guys finally left, haha, so happy. The other demon cultivators were happy and disappointed. They were happy that when Guyao left, they gave them some medicinal pills, some of which were helpful to Jindan cultivators. The loss is that this one will never come back, alas. The four looked at the city wall and came back again. Let's go, let's find a place to sell some of the medicinal pills. This retreat will cost a lot. Some of the mid-grade spirit stones that were obtained in the Kankan secret realm before cost almost the same, let alone the low-grade ones. Dan needs a lot of aura, otherwise everyone would not yearn for a blessed land with rich spiritual energy. Moreover, he was chased and killed by the Mu family for no reason before, so he had to ask for an explanation no matter what. The four of them still used the looks they had when they came here before, and walked to the gate of the city without covering up. Originally, there were a lot of monks gathered here, just to bet on whether the four monks would come back. Then they can get a sneak peek. So as soon as the four of them appeared, the monks at the city gate all stared at each other. The originally noisy city gate, because these four people fell into an instant silence, their eyes moved with the movement of these four people. Even the guards guarding the city recognized them, confiscated them with a spirit stone, and let them into the city. When their figures were about to disappear, it was like a drop of cold water dripping into a hot oil pan behind them, and they instantly boiled. There are also many people who go out to call out and tell the people behind them first. They're back. Changye, four people are back. All four of them are Jindan cultivators. The entire Jianjiun city was sensational. At first, some people thought that they were village bumpkins from outside, but now they all think that they must be elite monks carefully cultivated by some sect or big family. The wind is turning so fast, and often a big fist is the truth. Several figures swept to the gate of the city from above. Where are the people? It was too late now, they had already entered the city, and they were obviously following them, but in the blink of an eye, the figure in front disappeared, so now no one knows where the four of them went. Yan Sun also came, and sighed when he heard the report of the Yan family he sent. Forget it, if we have the fate, we will meet again, but if we don't have the fate, we can't come. Let's withdraw everyone here, no need to keep anyone. Muan naturally also received the news, 4 golden pills. And the bones are not very old. The cup turned to powder in his hand. Anur, what should we do about this? Patriarch Mu asked his son. It's not Jin Dan, what are you afraid of? Eldest brother's master is nascent soul, Mu Quantian shouted fearlessly. Muan patted the dust off his hands as if nothing happened, and said lightly, let the people below watch, since they have entered the city, they will not show their faces. When they find someone, I will invite them to the Mu residence in my name. Guest. Brother, also invited them to be guests? They can't be beautiful, Mu Quan shouted. Okay, Quanur, please be quiet. Being a guest is just for outsiders. Don't run out these days, and wait until your brother settles this matter. Mu Patriarch understood what Muan meant. Mu Quan muttered a few words, but did not protest any more. Patriarch Mu conveyed Muan's meaning, but he didn't want to offend the forces of the four Guyao. Knowing that it was Muan's intention, he nodded and agreed. They just took an eye to pay attention to the whereabouts of the four people. It shouldn't be too much, they just don't intervene in other things. Whether the Mu family wants to win over or fight with the four is not something they can interfere. The four of Guyao only used a blinding method to make people ignore their existence, and regarded them as passers-by on the roadside. The four came to a large building and looked at the sign above, Lingyuan Pavilion. Guyao Harika said, just this one. It looks like a big one, so there should be some background. As long as you scan it a little, you can find that the items sold and the formation restrictions are not bad, and there is a monk in the middle stage of Jindan sitting there. The most important thing is that Guyao looks at these three words pleasing to the eye. There is also a business house in the city called Xianyuanj. He didn't even step in, and he really felt that his breath was too much. Okay, it's up to Xiao Chi Change, I said. Tian Firong and Little Fatty would not have any objections. The four of them stepped in. The shopkeeper inside looked up at the person who came, and there was a momentary shock, and then immediately walked out from behind, and invited the four of them to the place where the guests were entertained. Because of the momentary shock, let him see the appearance of these four people. It is not the line that created the vision of the catastrophe one after another, but he did not expect to come to their Lingyuan pavilion. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 215. After the maid offered the good spirit tea and fruit, the shopkeeper waved her hand away, and the shopkeeper bowed respectfully to the four of them. I don't know why the four seniors need to come to Lingyuan Pavilion. Lingyuan Pavilion is set up in many cities. The stronghold, within the scope of its ability, the Lingyuan Pavilion will definitely do what it can. Lingyuan Pavilion naturally has a background, but the close contact of the shopkeeper found that these four people were really young in bone age, but they had never heard of their names. When they are in business, when they encounter such a talented monk, of course they must win over those who can win, at least not to make people feel bad about Lingyuan Pavilion, but Lingyuan Pavilion itself is not afraid of causing trouble. Guyao smiled, and could hear the shopkeeper's words telling them that the forces behind Lingyuan Pavilion were no smaller than the Mu family in Jianjianchinj, or would they be able to open businesses all over the continent? Tian Firong smiled genially. We have something to ask Lingyuan Pavilion. Don't worry, the shopkeeper, it's not a big deal, just ask Lingyuan Pavilion to hold an auction to auction some medicinal pills. The shopkeeper looked at the four of them in surprise. Chi Changjai drank tea calmly. Guyao was interested in the spirit fruit in his hand, and knew that the four of them were negotiated, so Tian Firong was the spokesperson. I don't know what medicinal pill is, I need it. An auction. He was worried that the amount of elixir he took out was not enough, so he needed to take a look at it first. Tian Firong threw out a storage bag, and the shopkeeper hurriedly took it and opened it. The first jade bottle he grabbed was a top-grade Tianyuan Dan, which made him suddenly shocked. He looked at the person sitting in the seat. The four of them looked at the pills in their hands again, thinking that it was no wonder that they could form pills one after another. The top-grade Tianyuan pills were all put up for auction, and the ones that they used at least were of this grade. The shopkeeper hurriedly clapped his hands and called people in, and checked and registered all the medicinal pills one by one. There were 2 or 3 kinds of medicinal pills to assist in forming pills, all of which were high-grade pills. What shocked him was that these medicinal pills seemed to come from the same person. Could it be that there is an alchemist among the four? I don't know which alchemy master these medicinal pills came from. It was made by me. We don't need these pills anymore. The shopkeeper can help me to see. If it's not enough for the auction, you can directly exchange it for me with spirit stone, spirit grass. Guyao said at this time, the identity of the pill master. There's nothing to hide, let's not talk about it now. When the news from the 100,000 mountains comes out, someone will know. It turned out to be Alchemist Yao. I'm sorry, the shopkeeper's eyes became hot. Alchemy Yao, don't worry, our Lingyuan Pavilion will hold an auction for these pills soon. The 4 seniors don't have a place yet, right? Why don't we arrange it by our Lingyuan Pavilion? Guyao looked at the other 3, and they were all up to him, so he nodded and said, then there will be shopkeeper Lao. The shopkeeper immediately called his competent subordinates to take Guyao and the others to the guest house where Lingluo Pavilion entertained the guests. After discovering that it was them, the consciousness retreated quietly, because he found out that one of them was in the middle stage of Jindan like him, and he didn't know if the cultivator who had said these words before was blind and mistaken a Jindan cultivator. It is of course possible that the other party did it deliberately. That friend Chang Ye is a middle-stage Jindan cultivator, and now this fellow Yao is an alchemist. Our Lingluo pavilion should focus on friendship. This auction must be done well. If they need spirit grass, we will send more. After some spiritual herbs have passed, our Lingyuan pavilion will not suffer any losses. The elders were also delighted to see the medicinal herbs. These medicinal herbs do not look like they were made after the elixir was formed, because the time was not right, that is to say, before the elixir was formed. He has the strength of a 7th grade alchemist. Now that he has formed alchemy, the alchemy technique is even better. The elders are looking forward to it. Okay, I'll arrange for someone to send a batch of spirit grass over here. The shopkeeper is also very clear that this is a good opportunity. The Mu family is blocking them, and even that kid Muan is out of their own power to make their ideas. Hum said. I'll mess up. The shopkeeper retreated, and it didn't take long for Lingyuan Pavilion to receive a post from the Mu family. The shopkeeper's eyes flashed with displeasedness. The Mu family also gave Lingyuan Pavilion a lot of arrogance. Dan is amazing. Worshipping a master of nascent soul as a teacher does not mean that you can become a master of nascent soul. How many Jindan cultivators fall on the threshold of Ningying? Otherwise there are countless golden elixir on the continent, and the great master of nascent soul has phoenix feathers compared to it. Scales. The shopkeeper politely said to the Mu family that they are the responsible guests of Lingyuan Pavilion. They are now living in the guest house of our Lingyuan Pavilion. I will send someone to send this post to the guest house. Please wait a moment. They are not allowed to go to the guest house to disturb the distinguished guests, and everything is based on the wishes of the guests. The face of the Mu family was very ugly, and even a small shopkeeper dared to show the Mu family's face. In fact, the shopkeeper was very polite, but the Mu family felt that the shopkeeper did not take them to see him immediately. That is, he was pushing away. The Mu family took it seriously, and thought that when he went back, he would sue the master before him. The shopkeeper saw the other party's reaction in his eyes, and it was funny in his heart. The Mu family became so arrogant as soon as they were proud. In the hands of the 4 people who settled down in the courtyard. Tianfirong sneered at the post, the Mu family. How powerful! We didn't go to them to settle accounts, but they couldn't wait to come over to put pressure on us. At this time, asking them to come over is not pressure? If it is an apology, then you should take the initiative to come to the door. The little fat man pouted and said, let's hang it, brother Chi, it doesn't matter. Well, let it dry. Chi change, I said coolly. Tianfirong sent the post to the guards waiting outside the door, and explained the meaning of the 4. The guards knew the attitude of the shopkeeper, and they knew what happened before and after, so it was not unexpected that such a result would happen. If Master Yuan Ying had compromised with his power, he wouldn't have killed Gu Hua and the rest of them mercilessly in the first place. The person from the Mu family who received the reply looked even more ugly. When he left, he didn't even say hello. As soon as the Mu family left, Lingyuan Pavilion sent the news of the recent auction to the various forces in Jianjiun City, and there were also key auction lists. The items prepared for the next auction are brought up in order to expand the momentum of this auction. Not only Zhongyunchinj, but the nearby towns and cities have all obtained the promotional flyer of Lingyuan Pavilion. As soon as they saw the top-grade Tianyuan pill listed above, many forces could not help but hurry to Jianjiun City. The reputation of Lingyuan Pavilion. It can still be guaranteed that they will not come up with fakes to deceive them. Zhongyunchinj is even more sensational. The high-grade Tianyuan pill, all the cultivators who have established a foundation, are eager to see it. The probability of the low-grade pill forming a pill is not high, but the high-grade pill can increase the probability by 1 or 2%, and it will not cooperate with other assistants. Items conflict, especially if there are other auxiliary medicine pills on the auction list, which are also top grade. Many forces are bound to win the high-grade Tianyuan pill, so they seized the time to mobilize a large amount of spirit stones, and some forces paid attention to the source of these pills. Why did Lingyuan Pavilion suddenly have so many good quality pills? A careful person noticed one thing, that is, the Lingyuan Pavilion received 4 monks and placed them in the guest house. I heard that they were treated as distinguished guests. Even the Mu family wanted to see them, as long as the 4 if people don't agree, Lingyuanj will keep the Mu family out. Third Elder, do you think this medicinal pill has something to do with Changya and the others? If they took it out, it would make sense why they formed pills one after another. If the Yan family had so many good quality medicinal pills, the Yan family would also be able to produce a few more golden pills, but unfortunately, they even tried their best to get the low-grade Tianyuan pills. People are more popular than dead people. People don't even need low-grade pills, they are high-grade pills. The elder smiled wryly. This is the only expression he can make recently. I guess one of the 4 of them is an alchemist himself. I heard that Lingyuan Pavilion transferred a batch of spirit grasses to the guest house, then the batch of spirit grass is very valuable. I heard that it is used to refine Kaipan pills. Rank 7 pills are expensive, and the spirit grass that can be used to refine rank 7 pills is not a common commodity, and will not be used for casual waste. What? Yan family was stunned for a while, and then regretted extremely. That means a great opportunity has passed from our hands. Is it too late to make amends? By the way, it's not that Yuchen likes that girl. Changya is a cultivator. Is it useful to send Yuchen over now? Never. Yan Sun hurriedly stopped. Patriarch, unless Yuchen girl is willing to serve as a concubine, she will only annoy them for nothing. I didn't know their details before. I thought Yuchen and cultivator Chang were enough, but now it is clear. It is a high climb, and since they came to Jianjiun city, they have no longer been involved with our Yan family, and this time they did not ask our Yan family for help, but went to Lingyuan Pavilion. Can the owner still not see clearly? This Yan family hesitantly said, why don't you ask Yuchen what that girl means? If you can get this relationship, even sending a few concubines is worth it. Elder Yan Sun, I'll go and ask Yuchen girl. The third elder sighed in his heart. The desire to achieve Jindan is more important than others. Not only the Yan family, but other forces with discerning eyes and ears also linked the appearance of these medicinal pills with the 4 Guyao, especially the movement of Lingyuan Pavilion to mobilize the spirit grass was also discovered by them, and they believed their own judgment more. So since the Mu family afterwards, there were those who sent invitations, those who gave gifts, and even those who gave cultivated monks. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 216. Tian Firong and Little Fatty have always been in charge of external affairs. Except for the people from the Mu family, they did not blindly shut visitors out. They also selectively kept some of the gifts they sent, most of which were spirit herbs. Rejecting all of them will also make others feel uneasy. Originally, the status of an alchemist was aloof, especially for a genius alchemist like Gu Yao. However, when a powerful cultivator came over, there were also beautiful women, either pure or enchanting. At first, the two didn't look at them much, thinking they were just comrades. Who would have thought that the leader pointed at them and said that they hoped they would be lucky? Staying at Alchemy Yao and Senior Chang's side to wait, Tian Firong and Fatty's expressions immediately became strange, and looking at their physiques, they still didn't understand what was going on. Tian Firong acted fast, and immediately sent the sound transmission to Qi Changjai. He had to deal with this matter, because others clearly pointed out that it was for him and Gu Yao. It was a step too late for the refusal, so then I heard Qi Changjai's very penetrating voice coming over, go away. The sound of thunder seemed to follow, and the faces of those who were impacted from the front turned pale, and the two furnace cauldrons with weak cultivation almost fell to the ground, and then they supported each other and hurriedly ran away. The little fat man glared at Tianfirong. It's all a good thing you did, it's okay to refuse the person who comes, you have to do this. Tianfirong said triumphantly, it's so simple and neat, otherwise, if you are like you, there are other people who will come to test it, and now this opportunity is directly eliminated. This is to send out a signal that sending the cauldron will make them unhappy. The two quarreled while walking back, and halfway behind, the guard hurried in and spread the word, two seniors, the Yan family's people are asking to see, it is Yan Suan, the third elder of the Yan family. Yan Suan? The third elder of the Yan family, Tianfirong and little Fatty took a look. This person is not easy to push out. Beijing and the Yan family once took them for a ride, otherwise they would have no direction at sea. I don't know where it will flow to and when will I be able to land, please go to the parlor, Elder Yan-san. Yes, I'll lead them there, the guard said goodbye in a hurry. They knew that the four of them were involved with the Yan family, so the result was not unexpected. After Gu Yao settled down here, he focused his energy on improving his alchemy skills. After conjuring alchemy, he could enter the third floor of the alchemy pavilion, where there are a large collection of books and alchemy recipes for him to learn, and the Lingyuan pavilion sent him he also needs to practice a lot of spirit herbs. It stands to reason that except for the day of the auction, he will stay in the training room at other times. But the anger of Qi Changjai just now alarmed him, who was reading a book. With a swipe of his consciousness, he understood what was going on. He felt very funny in his heart. Whether it was him or Qi Changjai, including Tianfirong and little Fatty, they would not be using the help of people who break through with this kind of external force are not monks who are addicted to beauty, so these people don't need to pay attention. When they were about to take back their spiritual sense, they saw Yan Sun coming, and the pair of Yan sisters who came with them. Flower. Gu Yao suddenly remembered the inexplicable chase they encountered when they went out of the city half a year ago, which seemed to be involved in the inexplicable incident of jealousy and jealousy. Now that he saw the sisters again, his mood was very delicate, so he walked out of the training room. Tianfirong and little Fatty were going to the meeting room when they saw Gu Yao coming out. Gu Yao said, I'll go with you to see the third elder Yan. Go together. Qi Changjai also walked out. So the two-person group turned into a four-person group. Tianfirong and the little fat man looked at the two strangely several times. How could they feel that the atmosphere was weird, and just as they were about to say something, they were swept over by Qi Changjai's cold eyes, and they suddenly calmed down. When Yan Sun brought people over, he happened to run into another family and left in embarrassment. When he saw their situation clearly, Yan Sun snorted in his heart. I don't know why my brain was pumping at that time, and I was moved by the words of the owner, and I thought I could give it a try. To say that these two girls are really good looking, Changya and the others are at the age of Muai, so maybe they will not look down on them. If you can catch this line, it will be of great benefit to the Yan family, including Yan Sun himself. Yan Yuyan also muttered, what, are they like this, Senior Chang? Yan Sun immediately reprimanded coldly, when they see Senior Chang later, they must not be rude and presumptuous. Yan Yuyan immediately stuck out her tongue and said no. When they arrived in the parlor, the maids had just served tea, and the four Gu Yao came in. Yan Sun and the others quickly stood up to greet Gu Yao and the others. The four golden cores, the difference in identities is very different from when they were on the seaboard, so there is such a respectful appearance. Gu Yao is not here for the first time. He knows that the weak and the strong eat here and the hierarchy is strict. If he offends someone who is higher than him, he will die in vain if he is slapped to death, so he will not be blind to such a scene. Exclusion. The third elder is very polite. It's been half a year since we said goodbye last time. Is everything okay with the third elder? Gu Yao asked Yan Sun and the others to sit down. Put him first. Everything is fine, Yan Sun sighed when he heard the estranged politeness in his words. I didn't congratulate a few seniors for their successful formation of pills, it's the Yan family, isn't it? Seniors' congratulations are not respect. Yan Sun took out a few boxes and let the accompanying guards present them to him. Gu Yao glanced at them, and they were all spirit grasses, and they were rare spirit grasses from the past. He nodded and accepted them. Yan Sun was relieved when he saw this. It would be even better if you could get the medicine pill directly from Gu Yao. There are so many forces competing for it at the auction, and the price is absolutely amazing. Yan Sun and Gu Yao were gossiping, and Yan Yuchen sat quietly next to her. At first, when the third elder said something like that to her, she felt a little embarrassed, but after coming here, her mind quickly calmed down, especially it's the other party's gaze that's just indifferent. When she swept over them emotionally, Yan Yuchen suddenly realized that everything was just her own passion, and regretted coming here. Yan Yuyan looked at Gu Yao and the others flexibly, especially Gu Yao himself and Qi Changjai, with a hint of naive curiosity in her eyes. Yan Sun glanced at her without a trace to remind her to restrain herself, but it didn't help. Just when talking about the situation on the ship, Yan Yuyan said abruptly, Senior Chang, everyone outside said that you were a Jindan cultivator at that time. Is this true? Why did Senior Chang hide your cultivation? Yan Sun groaned in his heart. He used to think that Yuyan was a lively and lovable girl, but now it seems that she has lived too much, and she even asks such a question. Chang Ye gave her a cold look and left 4 words, what's the matter with you? Yan Yuyan suddenly showed a resigned look, as if she was accusing Qi Changjai of being rude. Yan Yuchen was so frightened that she hurriedly tugged at her sleeve to tell her not to cause trouble, but Yan Yuyan shook off her hand, stood up and accused, of course it is related, we are going to be sent over to be your concubines. That's how you bully people? What's the difference between you and that Mu Quan? It's the same as bullying. It's such a good match, so that's how you treat Sister Yuchen. Yan Sun's face was flushed red. He wanted to stop the girl Yuyan as soon as she made a sound. However, he found that he couldn't move. A coercion enveloped him and made him resist his incompetence. Looking at Yuyan, this stinky girl, said such bold words, and she didn't feel that she was wrong at all. What gave her such courage? As soon as Yan Yuyan finished speaking, the whole person flew out, fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. At this time, she showed some horror, but there was even greater anger, as if she had done something unbearable in the long night. What are you? Without the power of the Yan family, how could you, a little base-building cultivator, run up to the Jindan cultivator to accuse him of his actions? Concubine. I don't even know when there were 2 more concubines. Or your Yan family has always been self-talking and self-love. Qi Changjai looked at Yan Yuyan coldly and said, only the momentum in her words made her spit out blood again, and her whole body suddenly wilted. At this time, the restraint on Yan Sun's body was finally removed. Yan Sun hated Yan Yuyan, a stinky girl. Is there something wrong with her brain? He gave her a stern look. Shut up. He turned around and apologized to the 4 of Qi Changjai. The 4 seniors belong to the Yan family. Yan Sun represents the Yan family to make amends for the 4, the Yan family's original intention. If the 4 of you like it, leave the 2 girls to serve the senior. If they don't like it, just treat it as nothing. In short, it's not the Yan family, so that this girl somehow misunderstands the senior. Gu Yao stood up and was very angry and funny about this incident. He walked up to Yan Yuyan and said, it was very strange to be chased and killed by the Mu family for no reason that day. Now I think the root cause is you. Back then, we were a little weaker. I'm afraid that she will die in the 100,000 mountains outside the city. What would Miss Yuyan say? Maybe she won't even shed a tear. You see yourself being so arrogant, how can you blame others? Forget it. How can you understand people's words with a brain circuit like this? Yan Sun trembled in his heart. What he was most worried about was that they blamed the Yan family for the pursuit of the Mu family. Now it seems that they still keep it in their hearts. It was merciless to find them to settle the account. Alchemy Yao, it's the Yan family's lax discipline. Alchemy Yao, don't worry, he won't let this girl contaminate Alchemist Yao's eyes in the future. I'll leave now. Yan Sun ordered the accompanying guards to bring Yan Yuyan, and they were a little embarrassed with the others. To leave. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 217. Tianfirong and Little Fatty remained stunned in the audience. They had never seen someone who felt so self-righteous and self-righteous. How did the Yan family raise such a girl? Could it be that they didn't notice any signs before? After the Yan family left, the atmosphere in the living room seemed a little awkward. The two returned to their senses and looked at each other. They both saw the incredible in each other's eyes. Then, their desire to survive made them choose to run away and give up the space. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai. Away from the living room, Tianfirong exaggeratedly wiped the sweat on his forehead. Little fat man, what are you talking about? There used to be people who admired them in the world, the most excessively, and she. There are people who openly rob people like Yan Yan, but today's, it's really hard to describe. Before Xi's family was fine, Xi Yanyan acted arrogantly and domineeringly, but it was also different from Yan Yuyan's brain circuit. Xi Yanyan took a fancy to him. Whether you like it or not, he grabbed it all, but he didn't think so. I like you, you have to like me too, otherwise you will be sorry for me, and you have done unforgivable things. The little fat man touched the goosebumps on his arm, and said with a trembling, since it's hard to say anything, don't say it, and let Brother Qi and Gu Yao handle this matter themselves. In the living room, Tianfirong and the little fat man ran away without saying hello. Gu Yao was a little dumbfounded, and walked back uncomfortably, sat down, drank a sip of tea, and cleared his throat. He couldn't continue to be so embarrassed. Brother Ye, don't you blame me for talking like that just now. Wouldn't it make you look unsympathetic to Xiangziyu? And Brother Ye is so popular wherever he goes, haha. When Qi Changjai looked over, Gu said I couldn't stop laughing. Qi Changjai sighed faintly. Gu Yao's heart trembled uncontrollably, and then he couldn't look directly into Qi Changjai's eyes. Xiao. Brother Ye, Gu Yao found that his voice was a little dry. Actually, I didn't want to interfere in your life. But I'm happy. Qi Changjai cut off his words. Ga. Gu Yao's eyes widened suddenly, seeing his appearance. Qi Changjai couldn't help reaching out and rubbing the top of his hair, and said, I'd love for you to take care of me from head to toe, and then no outsiders intervene between us. After saying this, he left Qi Changjai, leaving Gu Yao to sit there alone. After a while, he patted his face. It was so hot, is that what he thought? But, didn't they say it was a fake? And he left Yuan Yang town a long time ago, so that kind of agreement is void. Aren't they, good brothers? But will a good brother feel unhappy when he sees that the other party has a woman's love? With a snort, Gu Yao felt that smoke was coming from his head again. No outsider intervening between them, seems pretty good too. If it goes on like this, Gu Yao feels that he is about to be cooked. Does Big Brother Ye really mean that? The people of the Mu family were very upset, especially the people who went to the Mu family could not even enter the guest house, but the other monks who visited were allowed, which made the people of the Mu family even more angry, and the behavior of the four people was obvious. It was deliberately opposing the Mu family, and it was hitting the Mu family in the face. Not just the four golden pills, their eldest young master is a direct disciple of Yuan Yingdanang, and with a wave of Yuan Yingdanang, he can destroy those four golden pills. The head of the Mu family said to his son, it has been checked, those medicinal pills should be refined by the cultivator Yao surnamed among the four, and now the Lingyuan Pavilion calls him Yao Danchi, and I heard that the Lingyuan Pavilion will be in the original. On the basis of the list, add another medicine pill, the middle grade Z1 pill, which is the medicine pill that can increase the cultivation of Jindan cultivators. This news was clearly spread by Lingyuan Pavilion intentionally through the mouths of those who inquired about the news, but it cannot be denied that even the supreme elders in the family were very moved, and the word was passed down so that they would fight no matter what. Mid-grade Z1 pill, Muin repeated these words with his eyes lowered. It was not easy for him to obtain a middle-grade Z1 pill in Taluiman, because it required a lot of spiritual stones or contributions from sections value can only be exchanged. However, although he has worshipped Elder Nascent Soul as his teacher, the resources of Master are not at their disposal. After he formed the pill, he received a spiritual tool from Master, which was an excellent treatment. But now others can easily take out Zwandan for auction. Let's just say that the Yuandan that day, the Tian Yuandan he prepared for the pill was only middle grade, and this was only obtained because of the disciples of Taluiman. He absolutely does not want to think of high-grade Tian Yuandan. Anur, what do you think our Mu family should do? The head of the Mu family said with a sullen face. The elder Tais Hang meant to try to remedy the relationship with those four people, and it was best to directly trade some elixir for the golden elixir period from them. Medicine, but before that, the Mu family had offended those four people. Of the 4 golden pills, one of them was a 7th-rank alchemist. If he had known earlier, how would he have condoned Quanur to send someone to teach them a lesson? If you had known earlier that it was a 7th-grade alchemist, at the beginning, it would not have only sent people a post, but sent a special person to the door to give a generous gift. Now most of the forces can send gifts, but the Mu family has been sent no matter what. Shut out. What is my father worried about? With me in Taluiman, as long as there are spirit stones, can't we get these medicine pills? High-grade ones are not good, but middle-grade ones are still possible. Muin said lightly, anyway, let's take a look at the auction. Muin believed that the 4 of them would also go to the auction, and he wanted to take the opportunity to get in touch. Although Patriarch Mu felt sorry for a moment, he also felt that his son was right. The Mu family had Muin, and they were much more confident than other families. Those difficult pills, and the hard-to-seek 7th-grade alchemists, just had to pay a little more. The price can still be obtained, the world is afraid of. Holding a large number of spirit stones, he could not ask for the door of a 7th-grade alchemist. This time, the other son, Mu Quan, was locked in the house for a rare occasion. He was not allowed to go out and make fun. He knew Mu Quan's temperament. If he ran into those 4 people, he would never give in half a step. He is not sure if Cultivator Dan will show tolerance on Anur's face. After half a month of publicity, the auction was held as scheduled. All parties filled the private rooms of the Lingyuan Pavilion auction hall early, and the hall was also full of monks from all over the world. They don't have the strength to compete for Yao, but those top-grade pills that are suitable for the foundation building stage are also very tempting to them, and that's top-grade pills. There were even quite a few alchemists who came from all directions. Some of them arrived at Jianjiun City at the last minute because they were too far away. They hoped to get a few top-grade pills so they could take them back and study them carefully. What can you learn from it to improve your alchemy skills? Top-grade pills, it's not that there are no top-grade pills on Qinhao continent, but the number is too rare. Sometimes even if there are those big sects, these pills will not be circulated, but internal digestion. Lingyuan Pavilion also arranged a special VIP room for the 4 of Guyao early. When the 4 of them passed by together, Tianfirong and Little Fatty simply walked in front and winked at each other. Guyao looked a little wrong. Little Fatty, don't interfere, we just need to watch. In fact, this is an incident of bystanders who are in the middle of the game. The 4 of them went to the guest room from the special passage, and there was a special person to show them the way. Although they did not pass by the entrance, the appearance of the four attracted the attention of the cultivators who arrived early. They can only feel that they are really young talents. When he was young, he had formed a pill, and the chance of congealing a baby was still very high. Compared with Chi Changjai, they prefer to befriend Guyao, a 7th grade alchemist. It is really rare that a 7th grade alchemist belongs to the ranks of scattered cultivation. They are often cultivated by the great forces of the section. It is not easy to become a 7th grade alchemist, and small households cannot afford a lot of spiritual grass resources. What a young 7th grade alchemist, it must be cultivated by a major sect or family, and a sect like Taluim and Changxianmen is definitely not uncommon. Not necessarily. Even if he belongs to a 7th rank alchemist, this Yao alchemist is also outstanding in his alchemy skills. He has only just completed his alchemy, and he can refine a high-grade Tianyuan Dan. How many 7th-rank alchemists can do it? Is there really a middle-grade Zwandan this time? Is the news from outside accurate? It's better to believe what you have, not to believe what you don't have. Anyway, we have to fight for it. The special steward here led Guyao and the others to the VIP room, and then they brought good tea, spirit fruits, and good snacks, and left a special person waiting outside to wait. Just as they were about to leave, they heard the waiter came to report, Master Muan of the Mu family asked to see the 4 seniors. The steward frowned slightly. The Mu family was too arrogant. Alchemist Yao and the others made it clear that they didn't want to see the Mu family. Muan was so arrogant and came over directly. He clearly arranged for someone to stop him. It's not something that everyone in the city knows about who Huagu's line was assigned before. How can the Mu family have the face to meet people now? Senior Chang, Alchemist Yao, this. Guyao didn't make the steward embarrassed. He smiled, since you are here, please come in, the outstanding disciples of Taluiman, we have also seen and experienced. The steward replied with a slight smile, and went out to invite people in. Compared with his actions, Yao Danchi and several others were much more generous than Muan, and those words sounded ironic, an outstanding disciple of Taluiman? That's all. The steward came out and personally invited people in. After a while, Muan brought a few entourages into the guest room. He folded his fists and smiled and said, Muan is rude and uninvited. I hope the 4 fellow Taoists will forgive me. The people who came with him were all Taluiman disciples. They looked at Guyao and the others with scrutiny and dissatisfaction. They came here just to see, who would dare to leave Taluiman's nascent soul disciples alone. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 218. The steward frowned when he saw this scene. These Taluiman disciples took themselves too seriously, but the strength of the foundation dared to slap Senior Jindan's face, not because of the Taluiman behind him. But don't think that these 4 people are placed in the Taluiman and are also the favored sons of heaven, and how can they know that there is no nascent soul behind them? Lingyuan Pavilion has its own information channel, so while preparing for the auction, they contacted other sub-pavilions to find out the origin of these 4 people, but so far there is no result. The only thing I can know is the statement of the Yan family, so it was the 4 people who had lost their way at sea, and they took a sea ship to Jianjiun City together. Even if the result has not yet been found out, Lingyuan Pavilion is not willing to offend the 4 Guyao, and it is very disdainful for the behavior of Taluiman disciples. It turned out to be the high disciple of the Taluiman Yuanying elder. Forgive us for neglecting us, please take a seat, please take care of the manager and ask someone to bring a few cups of spiritual tea. Guyao said with a smile, he looks very good-tempered, not at all angry. Alchemy Yao is very polite, this is what we should do, if there is anything else Alchemy Yao needs, just tell the people outside. The steward identified Guyao's identity, then folded his fists and exited the private room. Guyao's identity as a 7th grade alchemist made the dissatisfied expressions of the foundation building cultivators a little less, but Muan said bluntly, I heard that Yao alchemist is very good at alchemy. I wonder if Mu can ask Yao alchemist to help refine a furnace. Purple Yuan Dan. Gu Yao glanced at the expressions of these people, as if asking him to concoct alchemy was to give him face. He stretched out his hand and said, since fellow deist Mu doesn't go around in circles, I'll declare it first, the same rules as Ling Yuan Pavilion, auxiliary material, come out with a pot of pills. If fellow deist Mu is not satisfied, you can ask for another Gao Ming. Before Muan could speak, the people around him jumped out first. Aren't you good at alchemy? You actually need 3 sets of materials to make a pot of alchemy. It seems like that's not the case, it's just Zhang Yunchenj. It's because I can't find a few 7th grade alchemists. The implication is that if you can't find a few talents in this small place, you will respect Yao's name and put it in Tailuiman, a 7th grade alchemist. What does it count? Of course, there are 6th grade alchemists above the 7th grade alchemist of Tailuiman, and there are also huge differences in the ranks of 7th grade alchemists, but with these few foundation building cultivators, it is easy to invite a 7th grade alchemist even if it is a low-level 7th grade alchemist. Furnace alchemy? That is dreaming. Tian Firong chuckled lightly, since a few people think that Yao Danji's price is too high, then we should ask a few people to bring the materials back to Tailuiman, and ask the masters in your eyes to refine it. As soon as the base building cultivator was furious, and he pointed at Tian Firong and was about to scold. Okay, Muan flicked his sleeves, dispelling the gunpowder that was about to arise. Alchemist Yao and this fellow deist have a point, it's Mu's fault, next time Mu's preparations are better. Let's find Alchemist Yao again. I'm sorry to bother you. After speaking, Muan took people out of the private room, but his face sank after going out. For the materials of Ziwan Dan, he could barely gather 2 pairs, and he would record the 2 pairs as long as he could produce a pot of pills. Yes, because this alchemist Yao produced a mid-grade Ziwan pill, as long as he brought part of it back to the door, the cost would be too much, and it might be more than that. Unexpectedly, the surnamed Yao refused directly. It was obvious that the other party did not take him, the nascent soul elder disciple, in his eyes at all. Uncle Master, those guys are too rude to Uncle Master. Uncle Master asked him to make alchemy to give him face, but he is shameless. They should be taught a lesson. Muan stopped him before. The base building cultivators said unhappily, if they came out on behalf of Tailuiman, even if they were the foundation building cultivators, those golden cores would not take their face lightly, but these people actually treated them like this. Don't act rashly on me, one of the 4 is above me, and I'm not sure I can handle it. Do you have the ability? Muan fired at them and went to Ling Yuan Pavilion for him. In the private room arranged, his identity is here, and Ling Yuan Pavilion will not offend him in vain, and the face that should be given will still be given enough. As soon as Muan's words came out, the arrogance of the few foundation building cultivators disappeared immediately. Even Muan didn't say that they were sure. They were just building foundations. But I was still unconvinced, the identities of Tailuiman disciple and nascent soul elder did not work. Those few people left, and the VIP room was quiet. Tian Firong and the little fat man sneered and sneered, this guy named Mu really dares to think, he wants Gu Yao to go out and make alchemy for him. Well, it's really a good calculus. Gu Yao sighed, that's Elder Yuanying's disciple. If you offend him, I don't know what kind of things will happen. Gu Yao supported his chin and thought, there is a long immortal gate standing there, it's not easy for them to provoke another equally powerful enemy for himself. He didn't want to create an enemy situation on all sides of the Qinhao continent, so the part of the medicinal herbs that he directly traded with Ling Yuanj, his asking price was not high, and he wanted to borrow it. This opportunity to make a good relationship with Ling Yuan Pavilion, it will be much more convenient for them to walk on Qinhao continent in the future. Qi Changjai pushed the fruit tray in front of Gu Yao and said, it's not your fault, it's only a matter of time before we meet with the Mu family's behavior. This incident is not something Yaoi can solve by backing down. It will only be as close as an inch, thinking that we are afraid of their status as Tailuiman disciples, and we will act more arrogantly. Guyao grabbed a spirit fruit and took a bite, nodded and said, I also know the truth, and 3 pairs of materials to make a pot of pills is already a common price. I haven't asked them for 5, now look at it. It might even be reluctant to come here, it's really a white wolf with empty gloves. It is because of his special soul and consciousness, so the success rate of Dan is higher than that of ordinary alchemists. He can guarantee that 2 sets of materials will produce a pot of Dan, but this is not the reason why he lowers the price. Let's leave when the auction is over. Before leaving, ask the shopkeeper about what's new and places worth visiting in this area recently, Chi Changjai decided. The 3 of Guyao nodded unanimously. They offended both the Mu family and Muan, but they did not believe that Muan would do nothing. Muan and the others could not move for the time being, but these medicinal pills were visible to the Mu family but not available. Make them regret it? The auction started soon, and the intensity of the scene was more intense than what they had seen before. The price of a top-grade Tian Yuan pill was auctioned, and Tian Firong almost swallowed a fruit core. First, he thinks everyone outside is crazy. Second, he thinks there are so many rich people on this continent. The third point, it turns out that he spent so many spiritual stones when he formed the elixir before, and it hurts. The people who photographed the top-grade Tian Yuan Dan were ecstatic. Those who didn't grab it could only wait for the next opportunity. Fortunately, there are still several pieces this time. What they didn't know was that some of them were traded privately between Lingyuanj and Guyao. After all, Lingyuan Pavilion also needs to train their own monks to enhance their guarding power. In addition to medicinal pills, other items were also auctioned. Some were collected and transported by Lingyuan Pavilion, and there were also monks who deposited them in Lingyuan Pavilion and let them auction it on their behalf. It was similar to what Guyao did. The difference is that this time Lingyuan Pavilion no compensation was charged, and all the spirit stones from the auction belonged to Guyao. I have seen the most detailed list before. Those who are interested have actually traded it privately, and the deposit has also given the other party a very satisfactory price, so I am not too interested at the moment, but I saw the auction of the 7th grade amulet. At that time, Guyao was intrigued, and the amulet was sent out by Chi Changjai. At that time, the shopkeeper of Lingyuan Pavilion asked Chi Changjai who painted it. Chi Changjai just said that it was obtained by accident. The shopkeeper did not break the casserole and asked to the end. After all, not all monks were willing to reveal their details, and Lingyuan Pavilion kept 2 of them. The remaining 4 are all auctioned. The 7th grade spiritual talisman is not like the 8th grade 9th grade talisman. You can smash a bunch of them at will. The requirements for running blood are also extremely high, and the cost is of course not low. This kind of life-saving thing also set off a small high-end tide at the auction. Even if some talisman masters can draw 7th grade spiritual talismans, they may not be willing to sell them. Most of them are reserved for themselves and their disciples. After seeing half of the 4 of them, he left and went back to the guest house to wait for the auction to end to send them spirit stones. During this time, Guyao asked the steward who had greeted them before. This steward was the shopkeeper's confidant and asked him what's new and places to visit around here lately. The steward had been instructed by the shopkeeper long ago, so he knew everything about them, and provided several places for the newly promoted Jindan cultivators to practice, but they were not close to Jianjiun city. Guyao and the others marked these places on the map one by one, and they did not have a long time left, so blindly retreating and meditating was not a suitable way for them to practice. Although those places of trial were dangerous, they were associated with risks. There are also opportunities in parallel. The steward secretly guessed that they are likely to go to these dangerous trials next, thinking that it is no wonder that they are so talented at such a young age. Not only are they talented, but they are also ruthless. As long as they can survive, their future achievements will definitely depend on Mu and Z. Superior. After the auction, the shopkeeper sent all the spirit stones and replaced them with middle grade ones. There were more than 200,000 in total. Thinking of the exchange ratio between the middle grade spirit stones and the lower grade spirit stones, Guyao felt that he was carrying a large amount. After thinking about it, he habitually sent it to Chi Changjai, who was in charge of it, and kept some for his cultivation. Chi Changjai hooked the corner of his mouth, turned his hand and put it into the storage ring purchased from Lingyuan Pavilion. The shopkeeper wanted to stay with the four people, especially Guyao, for a while, but unfortunately they had already decided to leave. The shopkeeper also knew that if they weren't to raise spirit stones, they would probably have left the other side of the 100,000 strong mountain after forming the pill. The shopkeeper had no choice but to give up, and gave a special token of Lingyuan Pavilion. With this token, he could buy items at a 10% discount in any branch of Lingyuan Pavilion. Of course, the shopkeeper also hoped that Guyao would make a move in the future. Pill, you can think more about Lingyuan Pavilion. Guyao said that he is happy to cooperate and will consider Lingyuan Pavilion first. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 219. The guard of the Mu family hurriedly came to report to Muan, eldest young master, the four people in the Lingyuan Pavilion guest house have just left the city today. Uncle, what are you waiting for? Let them know how powerful our Taluiman are, several foundation building cultivators shouted together. Muan asked the guard, which direction did they go from? Do you know where to go? The guard replied, go west, the location is unknown. Understood, you can go down. Muan waved his hand and told people to go down, then squinted in that direction, took out a messenger talisman, said a few words to the messenger talisman, and sent it out. This action did not avoid the few foundation building cultivators. After hearing the content, they immediately laughed happily. Just a few cultivators who had just completed the alchemy dare to be mad in front of Taluiman? This time, let them know clearly, even if they form an elixir, they have to kneel in front of Taluiman. At the same time, other clan forces also received the news of the departure of Guyao and his party, and felt regretful in their hearts, but they also knew that such a young genius cultivator would not stay for Zhang Yunchinj for long. Yan family. The Yan family couldn't get any benefit from Guyao, so they had to bid for those pills with other clan forces. With all the financial resources, the Yan family also took a few pills, especially one Tianyuan pill, which made the Yan family the financial resources were greatly damaged, but fortunately, in a few years, the Yan family would be able to create a golden elixir, but their previous actions had offended Changya and Dan Master Yao. Finally gone, Yan family master didn't want to benefit from these four people now. They left, but Yan family master was relieved, because he was worried that what Yan Yuyan said would annoy Changya and the others, and put the account counting on the Yan family. I thought it was wrong before, but now it seems that they came out just to experience training, and why would they stop because of one or two women? In particular, this woman was only at the early stage of foundation establishment. Even if she took her on the road, it would be a drag on her hind legs. At that time, his head twitched for some reason. Stupid thing. Patriarch, what should I do with that girl Yuyan? Yan Sun was also tired. The Yan family was very powerful in Jianjiun city. Maybe because they rarely went out of Jianjiun city, they developed a temperament like Yan Yuyan who thought they were blind and arrogant. In Jianjiun city, apart from the Mu family, who would dare to provoke the Yan family, so that people would not realize the problem with her? Let her think about it for 10 years, and see the situation in 10 years, Yan family said coldly. Okay, Patriarch Yan Sun sighed in his heart. In the past 10 years, Yan Yuyan has not been able to enjoy the resources assigned by the family to the members of the clan. In addition, she is deterred by the power of Chang Ye, which may have left a dark wound and a shadow. This girl is going to be ruined. However, even if she is not punished, the reputation of this girl will be ruined. There were also guard maids arranged by Ling Yuan Pavilion at the scene that day, and when they went like that, it would be strange that outsiders could not guess their purpose. Yan Yuchen only found out about it the next day. The four left Zhang Yunchinj without any hesitation, which also made her realize how wrong she and Yuyan had thought in the past. For them, the Yan family was not only a help, but a drag. Not everyone like them, they need to depend on the family to be born, and they are nothing without the family. Yan Yuchen smiled bitterly, but she could not leave Yuyan alone. After hearing the news that she had been imprisoned for 10 years, she sent someone to secretly send some healing pills. In Zhang Yunchin's position, it doesn't matter if you offend someone, so even if you want to correct it, it's often nothing. Tai Laman. Difeng received a subpoena, and the content of the subpoena made him show a playful and sinister smile. He and Muan were brothers from the same section. Once he stabbed a fellow disciple who made him disliked, he happened to let him. Muan saw it, but Difeng didn't take it to heart. He didn't think this guy had the guts to sue him. Then, as expected, he occasionally honored him with some resources, and Difeng kept him for fun. After he knew that Muan had formed the alchemy, he was much more courageous than before he had formed the alchemy. He thought that seeing him kill his fellow sect was to seize his weakness. This time, he wanted to use his hand to deal with people he couldn't solve by himself. Difeng didn't look down on Muan, a coward, but he was very interested in the few monks mentioned in his communication. A 7th-grade alchemist had raised more than 200,000 middle-grade spirit stones in one auction alone. There are still many good things on him, and if they find them, he can make a lot of money. Killing someone and robbing money, killing someone is not killing, of course, you have to pick up the wealthy and kill the rich, so Difeng immediately returned the summons, and he took over the matter. As for the middle grade Ziwan Dan? Is there any reason to dig out the things that fall into his pockets? Here, Muan received Difeng's reply, with a successful smile on his face. Seeing this, several foundation building cultivators also understood, and flattered, Uncle Shi is amazing, he can actually ask Uncle Di to take action. With Uncle Di, it's not easy to solve those bastards. I didn't expect that the relationship between Uncle Shi and Uncle Di was so good, and Uncle Shi was the most powerful. For many disciples of Tailuiman, Difeng's famous name is like thunder, and he is evasive when he hears the wind. There are inner disciples who died in his hands, but there is no real evidence to say, his strength also makes his position in the sect much more important than those inner and outer disciples. Some cultivators compared Difeng and Yan Yuanjing of Changxianmen. One was crazy and the other was ruthless, and neither was more terrifying. As long as Difeng's ruthlessness was not aimed at them, of course they applauded. Muan waved his hand to let them go down. After they left, Muan's face showed a smug look, but Difeng had a handle on him. In his hand, before he saw that scene, although he had heard of Difeng's notoriety, but he had really seen it before he knew that Difeng was more ruthless and evil than the rumors, because the disciple who was killed by his own hands was Tai Feng. Another direct descendant of Luiman's Yuanying elder, he was stunned at the time. Others say that Difeng is ruthless and Yan Yuanjing is crazy, but in his opinion, Difeng is clearly both ruthless and crazy. Yan Yuanjing can't be compared with Difeng at all. During that time, he was huddled in his cave and did not dare to go out, for fear that Difeng would catch the opportunity and kill him. At the same time, he also learned from other disciples that the nascent soul elder Lei Ting was furious and ordered the sect to search around the murderer, and offered a very high reward. He was not unmoved when he heard it, and then when he thought of Difeng's fierce blood-colored eyes, he shrank back again. He was slaughtered before he could move. After searching for 2 whole years, there was no clue. Muan did not know. How did Defeng do it, so that Elder Yuanying couldn't find any clues? In the end, the disciples who searched everywhere gradually gave up. Now only the sect's task list is still hanging high on this task. Muan feels that he should be a trusted member of Defeng. The four of Guyao didn't know the action behind this, but even if they knew, they wouldn't change their schedule. They also stopped once on the way, because the crystal snake Liuli was going to cross the tribulation, and the black cat still didn't grow much, but the breath became significantly stronger. Its real strength is not weaker than Guyao, and it can match Qi Changjai. Being able to compete with each other, each has its own trump card, but during this period it has not experienced a catastrophe, which makes Guyao curious. Qi Changjai and Su Chen only said that it should be related to its origin. In any case, rising strength is a good thing. The place they are going to is called Hefeng Town. There is a Hefeng cliff in Hefeng Town, which is a very famous and dangerous place in this area. The flying instrument was handed over to Tian Firong and Little Fatty, and Guyao summoned the courage to push open the door of Qi Changjai's training room. Qi Changjai, who was closing his eyes and adjusting his breath, opened his eyes with a smile in his eyes. Except for Guyao, no one could enter without his permission. Xiaoao is looking for me for something. While talking, Qi Changjai took out the teapot, boiled water for Guyao to make tea, and took out the spirit fruit and snacks bought in Jianjiaun City. Qi Changjai's hand was holding a sword, but now he is using the hand holding the sword to make tea for him, and usually not only cooks tea, but also cooks soup for his barbecue. Feel. Guyao took a quick step and wanted to grab the teapot. He should brew the tea himself. How could Qi Changjai serve him for granted? However, Qi Changjai turned his hand to avoid Guyao's movements, raised his head and said with a smile, "Xiaoao, just sit, it will be fine soon, let's have some snacks first." Guyao had to sit down obediently. After a while, a cup of refreshing tea was delivered to him. This tea was the best quality spirit tea tree collected on the Tianlin continent. It was planted in the space. With Zi Bao Bao around, the quality of the spirit tea tree has obviously improved a lot, and the spirit tea made from this harvest is also excellent. Looking at Ling Cha, Guyao thought that there are almost no secrets between him and Qi Changjai. Even Qi Changjai knows about the existence of Pill Pavilion Space and Senior Su Chen, and he also knows about Qi Changjai's life experience. Therefore, their current relationship it should be the most intimate, thinking that there will be a third person among them, which really makes him uncomfortable. Men and men, in the interstellar world, it has long been possible to form legal husbands. Guyao once also had same-sex suitors, but in the end, it was proved that they came for their own identities, in order to organize their families. Seeking welfare and pursuing him with such a purpose made Guyao very repelled, and his mind was on researching medicines, and he had no time to care about other things, so he never tried to like someone, and he never thought about himself. In addition to the potion and the current alchemy, I will fall in love with a person. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 220. Guyao didn't know if he liked the feeling of Qi Changjai, but his practice life over the years made him depend on Qi Changjai from the bottom of his heart. The first time he saw it was Qi Changjai. He was used to fighting side by side in the face of difficulties. If these habits suddenly disappeared from his life, he didn't know if he could continue to work on his beloved alchemy potion. Researched. So, don't insert a third person among them, okay? However, will Brother Ye think the same way as him? Therefore, Guyao was apprehensive again. While he was worried, a big palm landed on the top of his hair and pressed it lightly, and a familiar low voice sounded, "I'm distracted again, what are you thinking about?" "I was thinking about what you said that day," Guyao didn't even want to blurt out, and then saw the playful smile in Qi Changjai's eyes. His face suddenly flushed red. Guyao simply smashed the jar and smashed it, You said such ambiguous and easily misunderstood words that day, can't you let me think about it? No, Chi Changjai got up and came in front of Guyao, with one hand on the top of his hair. I just said that on purpose, Xiaoao, you won't be happy unless you think about it. Guyao was dumbfounded. This wouldn't be the same as what he thought, right? Chi Changjai stretched out his hand in front of Guyao, put away the playful smile in his eyes, and became extremely sincere and soft. Xiao Yao, I hope that someone will walk with me on this path of cultivation, so that life and death can be intertwined. Never give up. I once thought that as a sword cultivator, I would be lonely for a lifetime, but by accident, I came to Tianlin continent and met you Xiaoao. I found more and more that I could not return to the past me. Xiaoao, would you like to cultivate the Dao with me? Guyao's round eyes gradually turned curved, his eyes turned from surprise to a shallow and gentle smile, his heart beat so steady and powerful, he liked the prospect described by Chi Changjai. Walking alone is actually very lonely. However, it is not so easy to find a companion who can never betray. Now that he has encountered it, he certainly does not want to miss it. Guyao decisively sent his hand over. Chi Changjai's eyes showed deep joy. He held Guyao's hand tightly, with a little strength, but conveyed the treasure in his heart. Chi Changjai hugged Guyao into his arms, bowed his head and kissed Guyao's forehead, and saw that Guyao's eyes widened again, and laughed again. At this moment, Guyao seemed to hear the sound of 100 flowers blooming. I wanted to tell Xiaoao for a long time, but I was worried that I would scare you. Chi Changjai couldn't tell when he had this idea for a lifetime. At first, he was thinking of being responsible and thinking about giving Guyao find a way out and guide him on the real path of cultivation, but later, he felt that it would be better for him to lead him personally and walk side by side. Don't worry anymore, Guyao raised his eyebrows. Chi Changjai smiled lowly, because I saw Xiaoao's sharp teeth defending my side. Guyao gave this guy a fist in embarrassment, so he was watching his own joke. It seems that something has changed, and it seems that nothing has changed, but the other party can have their own thoughts with one look. When Chi Changjai was about to sit down next to Guyao, the flying instrument they were riding suddenly vibrated. And an alarm sounds. The two of them swept away their consciousness, and they actually encountered a robbery on the road. Chi Changjai was furious. Even if they didn't have long eyes, they chose to destroy the atmosphere at this time. Brother Guyao, someone has been robbed. You wait, the two of us are enough to clean up the guys outside. Tian Firong's voice came, when the two had already rushed out of the protective cover of the flying instrument. The other party had not yet. When the fight started, the two of them rumbled towards each other's flying instruments. It seemed like fireworks were set off in the air. Guyao couldn't help laughing, and dragged Chi Changjai to sweep them away together. When he got outside, Chi Changjai also wanted to understand that what he and Xiaoao were asking for was not the one day and the night, but the future. The long years of practice, just follow the original way of getting along is very good. It is the previous bit by bit that made him and Guyao integrate into each other's life. Seeing that Tian Guyao and Chi Changjai came out to take over the control of the flying instruments, Tian Firong and Little Fatty even let go of their hands and fought with these robbers. They haven't had a serious fight with people with their current strength, and this group of short-sighted guys just happened to send themselves to the door, so they are welcome. One was smashed with a shield, and the other was burned with a fire crow. The other party's flying magic weapon was not very strong. After not holding on for a long time, the protective cover shattered with a bang, and a dozen monks flew out from the inside, shouting for mercy, because inside there is only one Jindan cultivator, the others are all foundation building, so they dare to rob Guyao and the others. In fact, the other party was initially deceived by the appearance of the instrument in flight, because the instrument was so simple that it did not have any background at first glance. Most of them were loose cultivators. Run away after one vote. Who will take revenge for this loose cultivator? But I didn't expect that the other party not only did not retreat, but also rushed out of the shield to face the hard bar. At this time, it was discovered that the other party was 2 Jindan cultivators, and there were 2 more people inside. It seemed that the cultivation base was not weak, which made the order. The cultivator who robbed the instrument was so frightened that he almost wet his pants. Want to escape? Late. Tianfirong and Little Fatty cooperated tacitly, specifically beat people up and threw them on their flying instruments, and let Li Yulai take over the control of the flying instruments. The cat cub looked amused, and ran out after meowing twice. After playing, it used its claws to slap the fleeing guys back like a ball, and the last one who did not land became their prisoners, including the Jin Dangziu. Guyao and Qi Changjai put away their flying instruments for the time being and flew to the instrument. I saw 2 more golden pills, one of which is better than one. He was almost paralyzed and wanted to cry without tears. How could these pick such a robbery target? And these 4 guys are all Jindan cultivators, and the instruments they use are not of low grade. Yes. 4 fellow deists, we are blind. I have a map here. I just ask a few fellow deists to spare us. We will never do this again, Cultivator Jindan said with a sad face. This golden core is so spineless that the 4 of Guyao's eyes are straight. They have come here from Tianlin continent, and all the golden cores they have seen are proud people. How did this guy cultivate golden cores? The world's great wonders. Tianfirong stretched out his hand to take the map that the man took out, and spread out his eyes. What map is this? Where is it? What's the use? Jin Dan cultivator quickly replied, I heard that it is a place under Hefeng Cliff. It is likely to be a place where the nascent soul monks sit and transform, but the younger ones are too weak to go to the bottom of the Black Wind Cliff, but the 4 masters are very skilled. Unlike the little old man, this map falls into the 4th place. Only in the hands of a high-ranking person can it make a big difference. Seeing a flattering look, Tianfirong twitched the corners of his mouth. He picked up the map first, but searched for these guys before letting them go. Their flying instruments didn't even catch his eye. So the guys escaped from here at the fastest speed. Tianfirong looked at the magic weapon with only black spots left, and said unhappily, these guys are really poor, the middle-grade spirit stones on their bodies only add up to a few hundred, and the low-grade spirit stones are not much, so they dare to come out and rob others. The little fat man said, it's not just because I'm poor that I came out to rob. If I'm not poor, I must find a place to practice. Guyao saw the 2 of them bickering again, took the map and asked Qi Changjai, brother Ye, is this map real? He felt that it was too easy to come by. There is really a place where nascent soul might be able to sit, so wouldn't the Jindan cultivator go looking for it? Qi Changjai glanced at it and said, anyway, our destination is also there, and there should be further news there. Qi Changjai didn't believe that the news was only known to the gang of robbers. If it was their turn to know, I was afraid that it would have been spread all over Hefeng town. I don't know how many monks were going to the place where they sat. Well, listen to brother Yet. Tianfirong and Little Fatty didn't notice any difference between the 2, and continued to control the flying instrument to Hefeng town. A day later, they landed outside Hefeng town and walked into the town on foot. It is very obvious that this town is much more chaotic than the nearby cultivation town. No one controls the order in the town. Trials come to seek money by taking risks. Well, murder and arson are also a way to seek money. As soon as they entered the town, Difeng, who was somewhere, received a summons, which told him that Difeng had let the 4 monks he paid attention to enter Hefeng town. Difeng put away the message, got up and hurried to Hefeng town. The network energy he masters is far from Muanang's. It is said that he is going west, and Difeng gives an order. In any place where monks live in that direction, there are monks who become Difeng's eyes and ears and pay attention to the whereabouts of the 4 monks. Now, finally there is news from Hefeng town. Even if it was a very obscure glance, Guyao and Qi Changjai were still aware of it. The two looked at each other, and someone followed them, but they quietly found an inn to live in, and first learned about Hefengtown and Hefenja. In this case, Hefenja cannot be entered at any time, otherwise, there will be no burial place. After settling in the inn, the four came out to inquire about the news. The monks in Hefengtown are mainly based on foundation and gold core. Guyao even found that one person was a late-stage gold core cultivation base, and he should be the strongest person in Hefengtown at present. It is clear that the strength is not weak and it is not easy to provoke.